Hello defenders, it's day 976 of Russia's shameful invasion of Ukraine. The terrorist strike on Kyiv resulted in new civilian casualties. Evidence show possible Russian combat biolab being constructed in Russia not far from Moscow. The Ukrainian armed forces revealed Russian casualties in Kursk, and famous Russian influencer allegedly donated $22 million to the armed forces of Ukraine. Let's talk about the most important updates right now. Dear friends, yesterday during our live stream with Kalen Robertson, the Russian terrorists launched a Shahed attack on Kyiv. It was reported that high-rise residential building was hit, and this morning it was confirmed by the rescuers that a 15-year-old girl was killed as a result of the strike. 6 more civilians received injuries. Several floors of the building burned, the residents were evacuated, but unfortunately we have some tragic updates from this area. Also, Russian terrorists attacked Dnipro using missiles. 3 civilians died, among them another child. 19 more people, including 4 children, got wounded. The 82nd Airborne Assault Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine published a video compilation from the Kursk Oblast showcasing destroyed Russian vehicles. In total, 45 Russian vehicles can be seen burned at what the Ukrainian paratroopers called a road of death. Primarily wreckage of Russian BTRs, BMDs, and MTLBs can be recognized on the footage, but also armored vehicles STS Akhmat and destroyed Russian T-72 tank groups can be seen on this footage. I remember Russians made such a sensation showing several Leopards or Bradleys destroyed or damaged in Ukraine back in 2023, which I agree was a sensation, because burning Russian tanks turned into an everyday trend, and it doesn't surprise anybody to see them on fire. Basically, burning Russian tanks, it's like their natural state. This is how they're supposed to work. According to the Washington Post, a disturbing activity has been revealed using the satellite imagery. In Sergiev Posad 6, not far from Moscow, Russian vehicles were spotted allegedly constructing a combat biolab. In the times of the Cold War, some of the biggest military research centers were located in this area, researching and producing combat viruses. In 2022, while spreading fakes about American biolabs in Ukraine, the Russian terrorists actually began constructing a real biolab in Sergiev Posad 6. Judging from the satellite images, the Russian terrorists have renovated the old Soviet biolab and began construction of 10 new buildings, including one that looks like a power station. And now I fully understand the reason Russians were so actively spreading bullshit about the combat Ukrainian ducks, infected mosquitoes, genetically modified locusts, and even gathered a UNSC conference. It was literally because Russians project everything they do themselves, and you can sometimes guess what sort of secret combat weapons they're busy developing right now, judging from their own disinformation. Took us almost 2 years to understand, though, because some of the degenerates were so busy trying to prove that a dental clinic somewhere in Kyiv downtown was actually a combat biolab. And by the way, Ryan Macbeth in one of his videos explained in details how exactly military biolabs look like nowadays. You may want to check it out. Russian influencer Valeria Fedyakina, known as Beat Mama, is facing charges in Russia. Friends, this information comes from the Russian media, that's why obviously we should divide it by 10, you know. So the Russian media report that Beat Mama used fraud schemes to acquire some huge sum of money from different Russian investors and donated approximately $22 million to the armed forces of Ukraine. If proved guilty, she will face 10 years in the Russian prison. 2 things seem highly suspicious in this case, though. First of all, Beat Mama's lawyer stated that she does support the Russian invasion of Ukraine and is ready to spend her own money to supply the Russian terrorists. Generally speaking, nowadays in Russia, it's really easy to put somebody in jail by blaming them of supporting Ukraine. Another thing is, earlier this year, the terrorist country arrested a Russian-American ballerina, Ksenia Karelina, who donated just $51 to the Ukrainian charity. And unlike Bitmama, she was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Therefore, I think that the case of Bitmama is just a typical example of corrupted Russian law enforcement and so-called Russian justice that simply wants a big bribe from a rich citizen. Otherwise, it would be a good story of a decent Russian supporting the proper cause, but it doesn't mean that they don't exist. The case of Ksenia Karelina is a shining proof that you can still support Ukraine being a Russian, and also a warning to stay away from the terrorist country. Or, for example, people like Dr. Mike on YouTube or my bro-sanctioned Ivan. If you're a Russian expat who stands against Putin's war in Ukraine, don't be ashamed to talk about it. Actually, text me. Together we can attract attention to this and possibly convince more decent people to support democracy and freedom. It all starts with a single step. With that, my friends, I wish you all a beautiful day. Please share your thoughts in the commentaries and also check out the new merch store that we have launched yesterday. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.